Hi, today I'll be showing you how to code a closing tile effect, and we already have our tile elements. There are these two article elements. They each have a heading and a paragraph and a close button. Okay, so let's move on to the CSS, and we're going to start with a basic reset. So that's going to be margin 0 on everything, and then let's move on to layout. So we're going to have body, display grid, and then let's move on to the article elements. Yeah, if I could type, that would be great. And let's set some dimensions. So let's say something like that, and this is going to be both the width and the height. And here we can set grid template columns, and let's say we're going to have repeat, auto fit. We don't even have autocomplete for that. Min max, another one we don't have autocomplete for, that dimension, and 1 unit of available size. Okay, now next step, we're going to set some spacing values. So this one, let's say that this is going to be the padding here. So and we're going to have a second one, which is going to be twice the first one. Okay, and that's going to be the padding here. Okay, and we're also going to set grid gap to the same value. So grid gap. Okay, let's also set place self center. This only works horizontally, so let's make this full height. Okay, let's get rid of that. So here we're going to set box sizing inherit, and here I'm going to set box sizing border box. Okay, so here for the background we're going to set an HSL value. So basically we are going to differentiate these two article elements with a switch custom property. So this is going to be 0 initially, and then we're going to have nth child 2, and we switch this value to 1, and here we compute the negation. So not I is going to be 1 minus. Okay, so now that we've done this, here we're going to have 0. The hue doesn't matter because we 0 the saturation, and if the saturation is 0, the hue doesn't matter anymore. And for the lightness, we're going to have calc I times 100%. Then we're going to have something similar for the color, except this one is going to be not I. Okay, so having done this, let's, yeah, not there. So here, background, linear gradient, and let's say 90 degrees, white, black. Okay, so let's make this change abruptly at 50%, so something like that. But the thing is, if this gets small like this, it doesn't work well anymore. So what we're going to do is use a custom property. So this one is going to be angle, right? And here we're going to have, and let's actually make the default here 180, and max width, no, min width. Okay, so min width. So here we're going to have twice that dimension, plus 3 times the spacing, because we have once, twice, 3 times, okay? Plus 3 times the spacing, and we're going to set the angle to 90 degrees. Okay, so this should work. Okay, that looks good. So having done this, let's move on to prettifying things a bit. So let's say we're going to have something like a unit 1.5, right? And on the HTML, we're going to set font. Let's make it pretty thin. It's the unit times 1em, and we're going to interpolate this because otherwise SAS is going to attempt to perform the division. So this one is going to be something like this. Now the thing is, now if we resize this, you see that it gets broken, and that's because it's always using a font size of 16 pixels, so we need to multiply with that unit. Okay, so if we do that, for some reason it just gets there's still some issue there, and I have no idea why, because that should have worked. Oh, it's 3 times. I said 3 times and I wrote 2 times. Oh yeah, now there's no issue anymore. That's good. Okay, now next step, let's also border radius equal to the padding, so it looks like that. On the heading, let's set font weight something like this. Let's also set font size something like that. Okay, and let's also set line height something like that. Now on the button, first off, let's set here position relative, and now here we can set position absolute, top 0, right 0, and we can just collapse everything here and set a button size. So the width is going to be set to that, the height is going to be set to that button size as well. Okay, the background, let's make it red for now. Okay, let's get rid of the border, none. Let's also make the font size 1 pixel, so something super small. Okay, let's also set color transparent, and then we're going to set before and after, set position absolute, width set to the button size, content nothing. Let's set the height to a line thickness, so let's say that's going to be 6 pixels, so this is going to be our height. Okay, let's set a background to white, so something like that. Let's also set a border radius. Okay, let's set a top, so this is going to be calc 50% minus half of that line thickness, and then we're going to have something very similar for the left, minus half the button size. Okay, so having done this, next up we're going to set a custom property there. This one we're going to switch it on the after, so we're going to have J is 1. So here we're going to have transform, rotate, and we're going to have calc, and within it we're going to have twice j minus 1, and this is going to give us minus 1 if j is 0 and 1 if j is 1, times 45 degrees, scale, let's say 0.65, something like that. Okay, one thing I want to do there is on the article, set overflow hidden, right? And something else I want to do is change the background from red to transparent. Okay, now you can see we don't see the X there anymore, so let's set mix blend mode difference. So this should fix it. Okay, now let's collapse this, and here we're going to have an after. Actually, one more thing, something like this. So again, position absolute, top 0, right 0, bottom 0, left 0. I can't wait until we can just replace all of that with a shorthand. Some browsers may already support this. Okay, so let's set the background red, for example. Okay, but we actually want to set it to current color. Okay, that's good. One thing I don't like is you can see the corners there where we have the roundings. So let's fix that with clip path inset 1 pixel round, and we're going to use that spacing value for the rounding. So I think that means we can get rid of that border radius, and of course this after we can clip it itself. So we can have clip path inset 0 from the top, 0 from the right, and the dimension minus the button size. So if we have that once more, right, and of course we can round that to that value, but we don't want all corners. Okay, so we're going to set the first and the third to 0, and of course we only want this value in the hover or focus situation. So let's say that this is going to be our highlight case, so highlight after is going to get that clip path value, but here we're going to just have it like that. Okay, and in the close button case, we're going to have something. So this is going to be close, right? And this one is just going to be 0 because it's going to cover everything. And one more thing that we're going to set there is make sure that X disappears as well. So we're going to use here something like an RGBA, and here we're going to have an alpha which is initially 1, so it falls back to 1, but here we're going to set that alpha as being 0, right? So let's set those classes from the JS. So we're going to have something like function state. So we're going to, it's going to be triggered by an event, and then we're going to have an action, and then we're going to have a class which is going to be highlight by default. So we get the event target, and if now if I could type, that would be great. Okay, then we're going to have we're going to use that action. So we're going to either add or remove the class. So we can say that it's add by default, right? So it's going to look something like that, and then we're going to have add event. So for example, focus, and we can have basically state. Okay, and so let's get this first, right? Document body. Okay, so now that we've done this, yeah, that's fine. Then mouse over. Okay, so then we can have blur, mouse out. So right, so something like that. Okay, so then we're going to have for the click add, and we're going to have the close state, right? So now if I hover this, right, and that should have removed it. Class list remove. Okay, so for some reason I didn't remove it. Yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, that works. Oh yeah. So yeah, it works for everything. Oh yeah, if I could use the keyboard, that would be great. Okay, we can go back to the CSS now and fine tune stuff. So here, focus, outline none. Okay, and we're going to have some transition durations. So we're going to have first one something like this, and we're going to have a second one which is going to be twice the first one. Okay, and let's say that here we're going to have transition clip path in the first one, right? And here we're going to use the second one. So something like that. So let's see it. Okay, and if I click it, yep. So yeah, it's going to look something like that. One more thing. So here I'm going to use background color, right? And one thing I'm going to use is this ease out cubic function, and that's going to be one of the easing functions we use. So we're going to have ease out cubic. So let's tweak it a tiny little bit. So something like that, and then we're going to have another one, ease out back. right? I think it's something like that. Okay, we're going to see how these work. So we're going to have cubic, and that's what we use here, and for the background color here, and here we're going to have black. So let's see how it is. Let's refresh, and you can see that it bounces a bit. That's cool. Okay. Okay, and if we click it, it's going to look something like that. So yeah, this is it. This is what I wanted to show you for today. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and if you like the work that I'm putting out for almost 9 years now, and you want me to be able to do more in the future, please consider supporting it. You can do so by being a cool cat and becoming a patron on Patreon. The link is going to be in the description. Or you can get me something off my Amazon wishlist. Again, the links are going to be in the description. Or you can at least share this to show the world what can be done with CSS these days, because honestly, I think it's pretty damn cool. In any event, thanks for watching, and until next time, bye!